What's going on, guys? It's your boy Dev back with another one of these dope come out videos. Today we're talking about LR Namek Goku, how he performed in his meta, how he looks today. You guys already know the same thing every video. So, LR Namek Goku comes out as last year's worldwide celebration unit for both Global and JP, and it was definitely needed for him to release because two things. One, Super INT was complete butt cheeks. And two, playing Namek Saga really needed the help because Namek Saga was just dead in the water prior to the celebration. So let's go and talk about this guy. So how did he perform during the God event meta of 2021? This unit performed well inside the God event meta of 2021 because one, his defense was definitely pretty solid. Two, he was able to be sat in slot 1 for bosses that he was type advantage over in it of Quintella over here and Liquor over here. These two being definitely tough fights for their time because if you did not have EB, you was getting your back blown out. So, going back on over to Namek Goku, he was definitely a superbly helpful option for the God event because he was in. That was so important. Also, another thing I want to mention is that he did well inside Hellas. He did quite well in Hellas. That's another thing I want to get out there. So if he's helping you out in 3 out of the 12 God event stages, that's pretty good. So how does he look in today's meta, being the red zone slash 200% leader skill meta and cell max sort of event for the meta? So this guy, okay, let's start out with talking about cell max. So of my knowledge, this guy is on 3 200% leader skills. Of my knowledge, he is on the he's on the Bond of Parent Child, Battle of Fate, 200% leader skill with the Vegeta and Trunks. He's on the Powerful Comeback, 200% leader skill with the Bird Coup. And he is also on one more. What's the last one? He's on the Tech Bardock 200% leader skill with Goku's Family slash Pure Saiyans 200% leader skill. Okay, so him being on these 3 200% leader skills of what I know. If I'm wrong, please go ahead and let me know down below. Him being on these 3 200% leader skills, specifically Vegeta and Trunks'. This guy can definitely, he can take on Cell Max, but he must stack. If he does not stack up enough, he will get your ass destroyed in Cell Max. That is just pretty obvious. I know people that definitely beat Cell Max with this guy, but the problem with Namek Goku and Cell Max is that he can look very fraudulent if he does not get enough super attacks in, because him stacking his defense is super important. So when you get to the final stage of Cell Max, your defense could look very good going into that fight. Now, for the red zone, he can work for the red zone. All red zones. More so being because of the fact that he is in, and there are a couple of fights where he can definitely work in. Let's first start off with the movie edition for the red zone, so just movie bosses for the red zone. Obviously, the first 2 red zone stages he can definitely work. He more so shines inside of Bojack because Bojack is a tough fight. But like I said already, you really have to stack his defense up enough before you get to Bojack, because Bojack is still definitely one of the toughest bosses in the game. Going on over to the GT bosses side of things, he can work for Roto because Roto's obviously tech. We go over to the Shadow Dragons part. He can actually go ahead and stack up enough until you get to the final stage for the Shadow Dragons one, because Shadow Dragons, if you think about it, Shadow Dragons is literally just, it's like you take the Legendary Goku event and turn it red zone. And that's what the Shadow Dragon Saga stage is for the GT bosses red zone. Go over to the Wicked Bloodline, of course, the same goes for Frieza. I mean, guys, it should be pretty self-explanatory why he can fuck Frieza's world up. Because, A, Frieza's tech at the end of the stage, and Goku's in. B, he's performing guaranteed crits. C, you put him in slot 1, and while he's stacking up enough, this guy can literally have crazy ass defense. He could be sitting at like 600, 700k defense by the time you get to the final stage of the Frieza red zone stage. So for the red zone, this guy is working quite well. So moving on over to what is good about this unit. What is good about this unit? Obviously, the thing that makes this guy so good is the fact that he is a unit that can stack quite fast. But the only issue is that he must receive that attack for him to stack up fast. Yes? It's like they want you to put him in slot 1, right? That's cool and all. They want you to put him in slot 1, but the problem is that that's where bosses like to super attack the most. So it really can make or break this guy when it comes to bringing him into certain stages. But the thing is that even if he does take that super attack, you'll more than likely be fine so long as it's not a boss you're going up against that's type disadvantage. Well, that unit that is type advantage over your Goku. If you're not going up against a boss where you're type of disadvantage, so he'll look fine. This guy can definitely stack up to 4 times, which is pretty goddamn crazy because you can get 1 from his 12 key. You can go ahead and get 1 from him receiving an attack. It could either be in the first or second slot because if you put him in the second slot, right, this is how you will map out how he can get up to 4 attacks. He can do his 12 key. He'll take an AoE attack inside the second slot and be able to do another super attack because right here he just has to take all he has to do is receive an attack. So when he receives an attack, he'll perform a guaranteed super attack. Then, for whatever reason, you're lucky enough because he's in that second or third slot, you'll go ahead and get that third 12 key off, and then if you have any sort of additional skill orb or any sort of dupes inside of him, he'll go ahead and get the fourth 12 key super attack off. This guy can quadruple super attack, and that is super powerful. But the only issue is with that is that is not common at all. That's really not common. Now, what you could do, what's more likely for you to have happen, is for him to triple super attack. Get the 12 key, get that another 12 key from him receiving an attack, and then get another 12 key from your potential system. That's what's more than likely that can happen. People think that LR Namek Goku can always quadruple super attack, which is not the case at all. You have to be like a luck god to get that off for that specific fight. So, I think that is really what's good about him is the fact that he's a stacking unit that can hit quite hard. That's really it. He's a stacking unit that hits really fucking hard. That's this guy inside a vacuum. Now, what is bad about him? Okay, what is bad about this guy is the fact that if this guy does not get his stacks off on the team, which is super important, let's say the boss is not attacking inside the first slot, right? For whatever reason, then it's going to really hurt this unit because he'll only be able to get up to 2 super attacks off, and that really sucks. This unit is really based off of how many stacks you can get off before you get to the final fight and have this guy's defense look quite goddamn good, because this guy is meant to stack up, right? You go ahead and stack up with this guy, and you go ahead and get the boss below 30% HP and kill his ass immediately. Now, I know people go ahead and say, okay, let's go ahead and get his 18 key off and his 12 key so he can stack up higher, and this guy will look great. But really, the only reason I can see you going for his 18 key is to, A, you're going up against a long event like the Legendary GT Vegeta, no, excuse me, the Legendary GT Goku event or the Legendary Vegeta event. It's like, that's fine, because you'll easily be able to stack up as much attack and defense as possible. But A, you're going up against those 2 specific events back in 2021, or B, you're trying to kill off the boss immediately, like as fast as you possibly could. Because it just wouldn't make sense for you to immediately go for the 18 key, because you always want to go for the 12 key when you're running this guy. It's super important. It's super important for these red zone, these cell max stages. Like, cell max in the red zone, you must go for the 12 key. You must. That's your go-to thing. But anything outside of Cell Max, this guy, it's okay. You can just go ahead for the stack. You go for the stack attack and go for the stack with defense. Really. So, I think that's really about it. I think the only issue with this guy is the fact that if you don't stack, he's a fraud. Yes? He's ass if you don't stack. Can we just be completely honest? Let's just say that out the gate. And I've also found that if you're not going up against a extreme class enemy, without this attack buff, he doesn't really hit the craziest. Like, turn 1, it's like, of course, obviously, because he hasn't gotten enough stacks off, like, turn 1 to, like, turn, I don't know, like, turn 3, this guy's, like, attack style doesn't look the craziest when you're not going up against an extreme class enemy, because that's when his attack looks ridiculous, because he opens up with, like, an 8-9 million attack stat and going up against, like, an extreme class enemy. So I think that's really it. And also his linking partner being AGL LR Gohan. I tell you guys, when AGL LR Gohan gets an EZA, will this be the most valuable EZA ever? Guys, look how many goddamn categories he's on. What? Guys, look at all these. That's all his categories. That's like 20 plus categories. Like, yo, AGL LR Gohan is so nasty. Imagine they started this man with damage reduction. Damage reduction while stacking. This would be a gross unit. Oh my. They wouldn't do that. But he'd be so gross. But I think that's really about it. I pretty much covered everything about Goku. He also has the active skill, which active skill obviously it's really a cherry on top, so you can kill off the enemy as fast as possible. So it's basically like a insta win, right? Because what Dokkan is seeing is like, okay, they stacked up their attack enough, so their active skill will literally delete the fucking enemy 55% to 100%. So this guy will kill off the boss just almost immediately. He also has a good link set. He has a good link set. His passive is quite solid. The only thing about him that's bad is that if you don't stack, he's fraudulent. Okay? And that's more so me talking about for the meta. I would say the same thing can probably go for the God event, because he can still get killed in the God event. He can definitely still get his ass clapped in there. But I think that's really about it. Hey, I appreciate you guys watching. You guys are the best. I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace.